Hi, I'm Dr. Frank A. Thomas. I just finished a powerful interview with Dr. Tellis Chapman of Detroit, Michigan. You will want to watch this video. It was powerful. Watch this clip, and I promise you, if you click the link at the end to watch the full video, it will be a blessing. I was so blessed by the experience just to talk to this preacher, this revivalist, this pastor, and you will be blessed too.
Dr. Franklin died a year before I got to Detroit.
Okay.
But I grew up hearing him late Sunday nights on Randy's Record Shop radio show, and impressed. And I really thought Dr. Franklin was a 300-pound giant, but he was a small-framed individual with a unique talent, his voice, but he was also a prepared preacher and polished. And with his gift, which is for, I would say, some of those who would critique his style found it difficult to put him in a box or a category so as to label what type of preacher he was. But because of his oratory, and intonation and voice inflection, which is typical of African-American preaching and preachers, he was the one, at least from my experience, who really put it on the map. Not that there weren't others, but C.L. Franklin was probably the most celebrated lyrical black preacher that we know of.
Yep. I'll ask you about hooping in a minute. I'm coming down that street.
Yes,
right?
and a lot of his tutelage was from Dr. Reuben Bartholomew Gayton. And Dr. Gayton was a Hebrew scholar who was an alcoholic and could not retain pastoring a church. Dr. Franklin hired him as his personal tutor. And he had a best friend, Dr. David Hudson, who lived in Detroit, who in his declining days shared with me and my dear friend, Dr. Edward L. Branch, some of the clippings from the writings of Dr. Gayton. And in some of those scraps of Dr. Gayton, we saw some of the expressions and iterations of Dr. Franklin, which validates where he got it from.
Yeah.
This is not to demean Dr. Franklin's, approach to sermons and sermon preparation, but to see how he did it after having gotten it from Dr. Gayton and perhaps some other scholars at whose feet he sat. But when he delivered his sermons, polished, precise, and powerful, and then he went and got that Africanic, expressive aspect of black preaching and just hooped it to an extent that people were so moved emotively that was like a frenzy, which is somewhat characteristic of African American worship.